Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. All right. Let's go. The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy. You're invited. Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Elder Ricard Shiar of the Gathering of Christ Church. I would like to say shalom to all of our brothers and sisters throughout the four corners of the earth, and welcome to our weekly update in which we eventually, in a couple of minutes, segue to our loyal Patreon members. Thank you all for being Patreon members. In respect of, the guidelines of YouTube, we like to discuss more freely and openly under Patreon, where our constitutional rights, freedom of speech, has still, it still have some merit over on other platforms. Outside of it, if you're going to promote, unless you're going to promote debauchery, evil, wickedness, dissension, division, racism, if you fall in line with all of the progressive, campaigns to degrade and demoralize the earth, of course you can say whatever you would like on this platform, but we respect it nonetheless. How are you? All right, and Happy New Year for the brothers and sisters. Happy New Year. That's right. New Year's wasn't January 1st. Okay, we go on God's calendar. We don't deal with man's calendar. There's 364 days in a year. And yes, the New Year starts tomorrow night. When the sun go down, we'll be in a new year. Okay? Equal parts night, day, from Friday to Sabbath, Saturday sundown. That's right. The seventh day is the last day of the year, according to the heavenly calculation. Okay, so it's a new year each year on the same fixed day, according to a divide of 52 Sabbaths, which makes up a what? An heavenly year, an earthy year, according to the original calculations. So January 1st isn't New Year. Nothing changes from January 1st. From December 31st to January 1st. You're in a dead of winter. A new moon or a new month, which it should be properly termed, is what? The month that signifies a change of the season. And that happens, that's right, when the sun go down tomorrow, we're in a new year. All right, 364 days is the correct calculation. And hence the reason why so many other societies, other countries have different dates, also different calendars, because the Bible told us in Daniel 7:25, he warned us that what? he shall think to change times and laws. Okay? By not setting up calendars according to the biblical standard of Sabbaths. 5 and 2 is 7. 52 weeks makes up what? A complete year. What is that? 364 days, which is a complete cycle. You cannot deal with the moon because the moon only gives us 354 days in which a year comes up what? 10 days earlier. Okay, so yes, the real new year, and you're not going to see other people, even under Judaism and other religions, or Chinese calendars, and they're all over the place. You'll never see any calendar more accurate than the Most High's. And here it is right here. More accurate. And on top of that, we also give you the scriptures on how you can understand and break it down yourselves. All the scriptures. It was meant for us to follow each year according to Sabbaths. The mistakes that Hebrews make or Israelites make is and you know what? You can't really blame us coming out of darkness, confusion. So immediately when our people came back to the knowledge of becoming Israel, knowing we were Israelites, we immediately ran over to the Jewish information and began to follow Sabbaths and holy days according to their calculations. So we can't really blame our people outright for following what they see the Jewish people do. But all in all, further research should have been done because why? The Jewish calendar comes from the Babylonian calculations once our people fell. Okay? It's the Babylonian calculations in which they started doing the moon only. And the Most High warned Moses that if we start calculating from the moon only, we're going to call a holy day will become a profane day. Keep the Sabbath. Remember, keep it holy and never deal with the moon only. Okay, a clock doesn't have one hand. The sun and moon works in tandem for time. So if you're going to go with the moon only, then what is the sun doing? When the moon follows the sun through what? Gates to light the earth. That's right, on a daily basis. So you must have two. So if this interests you, make sure you get your calendars because the new year, the real year that's being celebrated for a new year in the heavens starts what? Tomorrow. Every listen to this clearly. Every year ends on a Sabbath. Every year. Period. It ends on a Sabbath. And then it begins 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exactly. The Most High isn't the author of confusion. Thank you, Elder Dell. Here, Elder Dell conveniently placed the link right there to get your calendar. Please get it because you'll need it. All right. Happy New Year. I wanted to go there. Now, I'm not going to be here too long, folks, because Patreon members are waiting for us there. And we're going to open up the calls almost immediately. As you can see, there will be a great conversation today on psychological warfare. Psychological warfare. We're under and have always been under a psychological war. Okay? Even what's going on in the Ukraine, which we'll highlight today, is a part of that. So what we'll have on Patreon, once segueing, we'll have this woman from the Ukraine who's going to let us know what they're not telling us in the media. Also, we're going to go here where some of the military guys are going to be breaking down some of the weird things they're being told in the midst of this. And on the top of that, we're going to find out what's going on with CNN and how they're reporting on this current event. See, folks, there's a difference between a war and an event. Okay, an event is what? Showtime. So when you hear on the news, they state outright the last event, that's code. The majority of those things are events. They're not real-time narratives, how it's getting reported. And I'm going to be talking about that. So some people might ask, why? Now, see, we're Bible people. Like, I like to take this time to actually deal with discussions, open up the calls in a few moments, and show these videos. But all in all, understand we're Bible people. And Christ told us that ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. For those who are out there who believe in Christ and know about him, now you'll understand more so than ever why the elite powers during Christ's time wanted him dead. Why the politicians, the magistrates, wanted him out of the way. Why truth was in the way of their psychological and physical warfare to create a new world order. There's a reason why they wanted him dead. There's a reason why would you chase and kill and torture the disciples? Why would you do that when the only thing they were doing was teaching the great news of Christ? Right? Because part of what Christ instilled in the earth is truth, shining light on darkness to reveal the true intentions of Satan and his ministers. They cannot hide no more. This is why. So we're here to reveal the truth, being Bible people. And there's a few scriptures that points out in general, if you want to understand the who and the why. Christ identified this when he talked to these Pharisees, scribes, those that were in position over Judea before he was crucified. He faced off with your so-called elite or leaders. St. John 8:44, he made a statement which incinerated the controllers over Jerusalem. That quote was in St. John 8:44, ye are of your fathers the devil, in the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning. So we would understand that who's ever in position would have the same spirit as the first murderer, Cain. And abode not in the truth. And abode not in the truth. So they were living in lies, and they're still living in lies. That's their abode. This is what gives them the advantage. The advantage if we are allowed to play within their abode, automatically it gives them what? The psychological advantage in warfare. They abode in lies. They create lies, and then what? Invite the population into them, into believing their lies. See, that's a psychological tactic of control. So we must first start off by understanding that we're not to believe anything that comes out of their mouth. Everything they say, it doesn't matter what the event or whatever it is, you must look at it from what? A serious level of skepticism or fall to it. Christ said here, he was a murderer from the beginning. So now we know their intentions. They're murderers. So they'll have something, they'll say something that would get us involved within their abode and eventually pick people off in ignorance one by one. And abode not in the truth. You cannot believe anything they're saying from their talking heads on the news. These people are paid to read teleprompters, to shape a certain narrative. Okay? There's not one news reporter who's hired or who is working for the networks. Not one are allowed to state their personal opinions outside of a narrative. They are to read the teleprompter, pick up a check and go home and make their what? Reporting believable. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh of a lie, when he speaketh the lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. It's stuff like this, words like this, which incinerated the controllers over the people during Christ's time. Christ was letting them know these people in position aren't for your interest. They are warring against you. They have an intention to destroy you. And how can you believe them over me? That's what Christ was stating here. This is why some people get upset or feel a certain type of way when I don't take a lot of these events or stories seriously. Because I'm not all triggered and all up, because I understand that they are the father of lies. I know who their fathers are, and they're the children of liars. So I'm not going to get caught up into their narrative, only for them to come 2 or 3 years later and say, well, yeah, some new news came in and everything we told you a few years ago really wasn't like it was told. But yet it affected your life. You moved on it as if it was truth. So don't get mad at me. Don't get upset with me because why? We've been tricked over and over and over and over again. And now I see clear not to fall for the lies anymore. You're going to tell me for the last 2 years, everything was about this code. Everything was about getting an antidote and doing all this stuff. And soon as the NFL playoffs start, all of the mandates and all the provisions that was on these players to keep them safe were dropped. You mean to tell me that a code or a sickness of biblical proportions conveniently takes the back seat for the NFL playoffs? But I told you all. And now, conveniently, another event to get your mind off of what? The deception, the lie that have affected all of our lives the last few years. So there's a few scriptures. They're liars. But then you got to go into the who in Revelation, the who. The who. We know their intentions, they're liars, and then you got to point out the who. Well, this is why Christ's words resonated. Revelations 2:9, he told John, on the Isle of Patmos, I know thy works, thy tribulation, and thy poverty. I know how our people are suffering, but thou art rich. Why? Because they can strip everything from us, but you know what they can't take? The Spirit of God. They cannot take that away. We believe him and his word over everything that comes out of their lying mouth, and they can't stand it. Because why? To believe in their narrative is to all in all fall and be destroyed by it. By us dealing with the truth, being hedged by the truth, who's Christ, we're protected from their evil. See, you must bite into their fruit of good and evil. You must participate in it. And that is what gives Satan and his agents access to you. Don't bite into their lies. I take their news with a grain of salt. It's corporate bought, and there's no true journalism in this earth. You fall for it, and this is what's wrong with the population. The population falls for it and get triggered and begin to do what? Instigate and fight with the population as if the population lied to you. No, you take that paranoia, crazy mind over there and deal with the people who triggered you or fired you up against the system. I don't have nothing to do with that. They told you to put on this or take that. And now you're going to look at me, and now because you fell for the lie, you expect me to participate in your lie? Like, no, you're not going to affect me. You're not going to get in my space and tell me what to wear and what to do and all that. You're not going to tell me nothing, because why? You've been lied to. And now you're upset because you're out there on an island by yourself with all the news coming out with what might happen to you. And now you're being triggered against the people who knew better. That was your fault. Follow the liar and stop blaming your brothers and sisters and those who are amongst you who you'll need down the line. Next, Revelations 2:9 says, I know thy tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. So we understand the father of lies, and we have an indicator on what? The temples they'll be cooking up their lies under. See? Now there's people and ideologies that we can now point to understand if they are in charge, if they're dealing with the media and all that, we are not to believe them. Right? And then the last thing, Psalms 55 and 20. This is just the Bible. Being a Bible person. Hence the reason why, to some degree, they would like to ban this also, the Bible. Okay. Let's read this real quick before I segue over. The last thing in prophecy, when you read Psalms 55 and 20. Psalms 55 and 20 reads, and don't forget, they did the same thing to the North American Indians. Came over here, peace treaties, and the next thing you know, used disease and all these other things to do what? To take the land, to bring forth an agenda. And this is why the Bible have warned us. Let me tell you, their greatest tool is media. Nothing is as it seems. And what are we going to witness in a few years? We're going to see all these Afghanis that was let loose. We're going to see these Ukrainians that was let loose, and you're going to realize that all these so-called refugees will be incentivized against the citizens, wrecking shop, and you're going to hear on the news, well, we didn't know that we were letting Al-Qaeda in. We didn't know that ISIS had a few cells in the refugees, and now they're going to start probably imploding the country, claiming that others, that terrorists came into the country during these events of helping people. Watch what I'm telling you. And they're going to start pulling America down. Babylon has fallen one piece at a time, aimed towards God's people. And who suffers more than any other people under any event? Poor people. Our people. This is why Biden and the others want you in jail. This is why they want you on drugs, so that you're delusional and cannot defend yourself from what's coming. And this is what it says last but not least, Revelations 2 and 9. Psalms 55 and 20. And don't forget, it says, I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. And it says, don't fear the things that thou shalt suffer in Revelations 2 and 10. The devil shall cast some of you into prison. They will make anything a crime in our neighborhood just to get us in the prisons and then get us under their hallucinogens, to get tortured. These are hell chambers in jail, and to get the stuff up in people, which is what? Lethal stuff they're going to start putting in people very soon, allegedly. Watch out. So you have to know their true objectives. Being what? Liars, murderers. Right? Psalms 55 and 20 reads, He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He has broken his covenant. Even the Bible tells us we can't trust him. There's never an agreement he goes into with the intentions of carrying the agreement out. It's only what? Him gaining ground before the next deception. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. And you notice how the news, they're always smiling and, they're monotone, or they're pushing an agenda as if it's harmless. But usually it's the media. It's the media that pushes the agendas to get all the people spiritually involved in their bloodshed and war against another country. Smoother than butter. Urging the earth towards war. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter. That's psychology. But war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were there drawn swords. At the end of it, Esau is seeking to use the sword to bring forth a new world order. And that sword predominantly is aimed at Jacob, our people. Don't believe the hyperbole. Don't believe the hype, my brothers and sisters. Everything is a lie. And at the end of it, whoever they have come over, it's going to be what? Less for you. And that's what it's about. It's about doing what? Aggressively using the tactics of these events to align a population that's racist in the countries they are against the children of Israel. Okay? Against the children of Israel. So now that concludes my update for this week, A Gathering 144. I really appreciate all you do when it comes to supporting the church. Brothers and sisters, make sure you go to our main page and make sure to check whether or not YouTube has unsubscribed you. Okay? And make sure if that has happened, hit the subscribe button along with the bell. And when you click the bell, state that you would like to receive all notifications from this channel. They're unsubscribing people, and I can understand why. Because why? They want to refer the junk you don't want to see. You notice when you say you want autoplay on your YouTube, not the stuff you're used to comes up, but what? The mainstream bought junk. The Breakfast Club will come up. What's the Vlad TV comes up. Joe Rogan, I can respect some of what he's bringing forth. And you know what? I'm not going to buy into the racist trope they're using with Joe Rogan. Excuse me, Joe Rogan. I'm not going to buy it at that. Joe Rogan had hair when he made that statement. But yet you're going to hold it back for now? We're not buying that either. Okay? Because what Joe Rogan is saying now is more relevant through age and time than he was with that picture as a boy making racist statements. Okay? And guess what? And I'm going to make it clear. There's no people on earth who hasn't made racist statements against another race. There's no race innocent from that. It's just that everyone wasn't recorded. They don't have a recorder on every person. There's not a person in this earth that can state that they've never made a racist statement against another person. It's utterly ridiculous. So I'm not going to get triggered when they try to call Joe Rogan a racist when there's racist reporting against Joe Rogan. That person is a racist against us. And the news going to try to make us believe that Joe Rogan isn't any less than they are. Let me tell you, this whole racism thing is a psychological thing to keep the people from talking. I don't care what you say. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names have never hurt me. Sticks and stones. I don't care if you don't like me personally, but if we have a greater enemy that's destroying us both, we need to align under Christ and the truth. You don't have to like me personally. Okay, so stop getting triggered through this racist garbage. The liberals and all that be pushing that garbage on either side. So do the conservatives on their side. We don't want to hear none of that because both sides are liars. Okay? They both are liars. Okay? So when you see the news reporting racist stuff, understand it's to do what? To disturb your spirit against another people. That's all it is. So that you can look at a person who has nothing to do with you through a dark, evil lens. Okay? They can report on anything, but why do they keep the fire lit on racism? Because they understand it's a psychological tool. And when you're triggered through anger, most people cannot think clearly. And that's really their agenda. They don't care about whether or not Joe Rogan says something against black people or black people have something against white people. What they care is what? They care about the cloud and judgment you have that affects one who's angered. The fact that you can't think clearly because why? You're in your emotions. Wise up. Wise up. I'm not dealing with none of that crap. Christ is the truth, and I have identified today the children of the devil, the liars who are behind everything. Even the same people who every year have you say December 31st when the ball drops, Happy New Year's. And it's cold as Hades outside. They have deceived us into celebrating a new year in the dead of winter. The new year is now. When the sun go down tomorrow, today is the last day of the year according to God. And spring officially begins one day after winter, which means each day will begin to get 2 minutes of more light starting tomorrow. 2 minutes of more light. And you're going to see what? You're going to see longer days, and the night comes in later by the time what? Summer comes in, when spring is at its fullness. How do we know this? God told us, and we put it in a calendar for you. So get your calendars. Patreon members, I apologize. I'm coming right over. Stay prayed up. Sin not. You will soon see Zion. Hebrew and Bible Academy this coming Sunday, and will it be a good one? It's going to be great. We're going into the history between what? Israel and Judah, the split between Israel and Judah, and how God is going to bring the 12 tribes back together again, which is the real agenda of the New World Order. They're trying to stop the 12 tribes from coming back. But you know what? That's right, Esau. Your sword is too dull to fight with God. We're coming together. And our King will lead us, Christ. Shalom. If you wish to support our church, you see it right there. You can go GOCC, $GOCC 144, donate if you have Cash App. If you don't, that's okay. Go to gatheringofchrist.org, and there's other ways you can support us, okay? Go there and you'll see if you don't have Cash App, you can use whatever way of payment you would like. But we do need your support going into the new year, because there's a lot that must get accomplished here in this church, and we need to get out to our people well beyond this internet and start having what? A presence in our community, speaking door to door, letting people know that don't have computers that what's about to go down and who not to trust when they knock on your door. We need to move this ministry on the ground on another level. Not to say we're not there, but we really need to ramp it up as the time grows short, and that cannot happen without your support, brothers and sisters. So I'm going to say, if this ministry has affected you positively in any manner, please support it so we can continue to put out the word, okay? That what? The kingdom will soon be at hand. So again, for those who don't know, understand I'll be going into CNN. I'll also be going into what the military is saying today, and I'll also be going into what the Ukrainians are saying today. And it's only going to be for 1 hour today. It's only going to be for 1 hour on Patreon. So we're going to have the phone calls going simultaneously as we break down the lies that comes with Esau's, Edom's psychological warfare. Stay strong and understand we're on your side. And that's if truth. And that's if you're seeking the truth. Understand, we're on your side. And understand that it's the Most High calling back Israel. Patreon, I'm coming over now. Shalom.
The East is where we're from. The 12 tribes of Israel. And 721 BC, the Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell. With a great escape we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the water still. To a land where no mankind dwelt, we went. The 12 tribes of Israel. That's who we be, Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, and Valley from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans. The highest gathering Israel.